And these days, you cannot use bent bricks to construct schools. So the quarry stone, you can't just go and get quarry stone easily these days. You need to source it somewhere else. So my suggestion, perhaps, Right Honorable Speaker, would be, why can't community contribution be in form of free labor? So that the community would go to those projects and offer their labor, but burdening them with a 50 pari, which is about 1 million kwacha. A poor community is really counterproductive. So that's the background to the question I was posing to the honorable colleague regarding this policy, that it's burdening people. They are happy they've received the development, but they don't know how to do their part to have that school actualized. It needs attention, and it cannot just be let slide as it is. It's a real issue. It needs real solutions. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Lilonge Msozi. I'm sure the Minister has taken note. I see leader standing.
Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to beg that question time be curtailed in order for the Minister of Finance to present the 2025-2026 mid-year budget review statement.
Honourable members, there's a question to vary the order paper in order to allow the Minister of Finance to present the mid-year budget. Those of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary view say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried.
Government business, item A, presentation of the 2025-2026 media budget review statement by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization.
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to present the papers standing on my name under item 3A of the order paper. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Sergeant at Arms. Honourable Minister, would you statement?
Yes, sir. Today and now.
You have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the mid-year revised estimates on the recurrent and development accounts for the year 2025-2026 national budget be referred to the Committee of the Whole House for detailed review, consideration, vote by vote, and subsequently be adopted. Introduction. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Public Finance Management Act of 2022 requires the Minister responsible for finance to submit to this August House a report on budget implementation during the first half and proposed revisions expected in the second half of the financial year. I therefore call upon honourable members to constructively deliberate on the budget revisions, which I will soon outline in my speech. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to deliver my inaugural 2025-2026 mid-year budget statement to this August following my reappointment as the Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization in October 2025. I'm deeply honored by the trust His Excellency, the State President, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, has placed in me to manage the economy and public finances during a period marked by deep socio-economic and fiscal struggles. I wish to assure His Excellency and this August House of my unwavering commitment to execute my duties with highest standards of integrity and above all to serve interests of all Malawians, in particular the vulnerable people. Mr. Speaker, sir, in light of the current economic challenges, the government has developed the National Economic Recovery Plan, whose objective is to stabilize the economy, restore confidence, and accelerate inclusive growth. This strategic framework outlines immediate, short-term, and medium-term measures, and this plan is in line with the Malawi 2063 Year Implementation Plan, MIP1, which is a strategy to achieve wealth creation and self-reliance. Mr. Speaker, sir, the National Economic Recovery Plan focuses on fiscal consolidation to create fiscal space for strategic investments in key sectors such as agriculture, tourism, mining, manufacturing, and digitalization. It also prioritizes investment in critical infrastructure and human capital development, including strengthening social protection systems to safeguard vulnerable populations and the provision of pharmaceuticals. In my statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, I will begin by outlining the macroeconomic developments observed midway through the implementation of the 2025-2026 budget. It will then report on revenue and expenditure performance, including financing of the budget deficit, as well as pressure points that will require additional resources in the revised budget. Furthermore, I will highlight the key economic and fiscal reforms currently being pursued by this administration. And finally, I will set out the revenue enhancement measures that government will implement in the second half of the 2025-2026 budget. Macroeconomic developments. Mr. Speaker, sir, the October 2025 World Economic Outlook report by the IMF states that prospects for the global economy remain subdued. The global growth is 0.3% in 2024 to 3.2% in 2025. And 3.1% in 2026, with advanced economies growing around 1.5% and emerging markets and developing economies just about 4%. Inflation is projected to continue to decline globally, though with variation across countries. Regional economic outlook. Mr. Speaker, sir, Sub-Saharan Africa's economic outlook reflects notable resilience amid a difficult global backdrop. The region continues to face uneven commodity price trends, persistently tight borrowing conditions, and a weakening global trade and aid development. Despite these headwinds, Mr. Speaker, is expected to remain 4.1% in 2025, with a slight improvement anticipated in 2026, driven by macroeconomic stabilization and reform efforts in key economies. However, this resilience remains fragile and should not be assumed as guaranteed. Macroeconomic developments in Malawi. Mr. Speaker, sir, Malawi's projected GDP growth for 2025 has been revised downwards from an estimate of 2.8% in May 2025 to 2.7% in November 2025. The slight downward revision is on account of shortage of foreign exchange and fuel, which have consequently constrained growth in some key sectors of the economy, such as manufacturing, wholesale and retail. It is also worth noting that the growth sharply under the administration of Malawi Congress Party. Mr. Speaker, sir, GDP is expected to grow by 3.8% in 2026 and 4.9% in 2027. The growth is expected to be anchored through improvements and investment in agriculture, tourism, mining, manufacturing, and digitalization. In addition, these sectors will be supported by economic enablers, which include infrastructure, transport, and energy. Further to this, Mr. Speaker, sir, the government plans to intensify export diversification and import substitution in the sectors mentioned to enhance forex availability, among other policies to be articulated in the National Economic Recovery Plan. Mr. Speaker, sir, the domestic economy is currently characterized by shortage of food, foreign exchange, which have to rising prices of goods and services. Consequently, annual inflation averaged 32.5% in 2024, with a projected decline to 28.5% in 2025 and 20.7% in 2026. The inflation has significantly increased from around 9.4% registered in 2019, thereby eroding purchasing power and increasing the cost of doing business in the country. With regards to money supply growth, Mr. Speaker, sir, the economy has experienced unprecedented expansion in money supply over the past 5 years. Although some research work has shown that inflation is not a monetary phenomenon, in Malawi, our experience is different. Excessive growth in money supply exerts enormous pressure on the exchange rate and inflation. Current level of money supply at over 50% is inflationary and a cause for concern, therefore it cannot be ignored. With regards to foreign exchange reserves, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to inform the August House that the country is experiencing low reserves worsened by premature expiration of the extended credit facility for IMF in May 2025. Along with withdrawal of aid and donor-funded programs. Furthermore, the country's narrow export base limits the country's capability to generate enough foreign exchange. Worse still, debt service obligations and commitments on strategic commodities exacerbated the pressure on foreign reserves. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other reason for low reserves accumulation is extravagant and careless behavior of the Congress Party. Can I repeat that, Mr. Speaker, sir? The other reason for low reserves accumulation is the extravagant and careless behavior of the Malawi Congress Party government in foreign travels, bloated overstaffing in embassies, purchase of high-value assets, and low absorption of donor-funded projects. Mr. Speaker, sir, government fully recognizes the vital role development partners play in supporting our national development, In this regard, the government, in collaboration with development partners, is undertaking scoping exercise to gain deeper insights into the underlying fiscal and monetary challenges to identify potential avenues for technical and financial assistance. 2025-2026 mid-year budget. Mr. Speaker, sir, as you are aware, the first half of the was presided over by the Minority Congress Party government. The implementation of the budget was below par, with persistent revenue underperformance, cost overruns, unsustainable deficit, and high public debt service. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me now appraise this August House in detail how the budget has performed in the first half of the financial year and how we intend to move forward to correct the situation. Performance of revenue and grants. Mr. Speaker, sir, the total approved revenue and grants for the 2025-2026 financial year is 5.78 trillion. During the first half of the financial year, total revenue and grants amounted to 2.383 trillion compared to a projection of 2.711 trillion, representing a very 1%. The lower than expected revenue collection is attributed to prevailing macroeconomic imbalances and a reduction in external grants due to slow implementation progress on various projects. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the first half of 2025-2026 financial year, domestic revenue was projected at 2.139 trillion, comprising 2.097 trillion in tax revenue and for the 2.6 billion in non-tax revenue. However, the actual outturn for domestic revenue during the period under review was 2.057 trillion, reflecting underperformance of 81.9 billion, which represents 3.8%. This shortfall is attributed to underperformance in tax revenue due to reduced input emanating from foreign exchange shortage. Mr. Speaker, sir, although tax revenue underperformed, I'm happy to report that non-tax revenue overperformed by 22.6%. This is on account of overperformance by departmental receipts and penalties. However, state-owned enterprises' dividends continue to underperform, as only 5.93 billion was remitted to Treasury against government's projection of 29.8 billion. Mr. Speaker, sir, the total approved provision for grants in 2025-2026 financial year is 1.143 trillion. However, the mid-year outturn for grants amounted to 325.5 billion, compared to a mid-year projection of 571.4 billion, representing a 43% shortfall. This performance is because of slow implementation progress on various projects, capacity to import construction materials as a result of shortage of foreign exchange. In addition, stringent procurement procedures, environmental and social safeguards requirements by some development partners, and inefficiency by project implementation units, PIUs, have also contributed to slow disbursement and progress on these projects. Performance of total expenditure. Mr. Speaker, sir, the total approved expenditure provision for the 2025-2026 financial year is 8.077 trillion, of which 4.244 trillion was planned for the first half of the year. This comprises 3.22 trillion in recurrent expenditures, 1.024 trillion in development expenditures. However, the mid-year expenditure outturn, 4.420 trillion, representing an expenditure overrun of 175.7 billion, which is 4.1%. This was due to front-loading of certain expenditures lines in the agriculture, education, and health sectors, and the over-expenditure on wages and salaries, public debt interest, general election, and domestic finance projects. Performance of the recurrent expenditure. Mr. Speaker, sir, the major outturn for the recurrent expenditure amounted to 3.502 trillion compared to the mid-year projection of 3.22 trillion, representing an overrun of 281.8 billion, 0.8%. Overruns were recorded across nearly all budget categories, including pensions and gratuities, interest payments, and the use of goods and services. Mr. Speaker, sir, wages and salaries overspent by 125.9 billion, representing 19% overrun of the immediate target of 661.5 billion. This is on account of massive recruitment in the security institutions and education, as well as health. In addition, the 100% increase for chiefs honoraria contributed to this cause. The ministries, departments, and agencies that significantly contributed to overrun of wages and salaries as at 30th September 2025 are as follows: district councils, Malawi Defense Force, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, and Malawi. Mr. Speaker, sir, under use of goods and services, the budget lines that overspent year are elections and general goods and services. Elections overspent by 50 billion, representing 30.7%, overrun from the approved figure of 162.9 billion to 212.9 billion by end of September 2025. On the other hand, generic goods and services registered expenditure of 489.7 billion, representing 71% utilization of the approved budget. Under this budget line, the votes that largely contributed to the overrun or over expenditure are as follows: state residences. I would like to inform this august House that the State House spent the entire 67 billion that was allocated, and they even went and borrowed. The entire 67 billion was spent and went to borrow more. Office of the President and Cabinet, Office of the President and Cabinet also Office of the President and Cabinet also spent 100% of the media budget. I'm talking about spending the entire budget for the whole year in 6 months. Office of the Vice President, 94%, Ministry of Lands, 94%, and the National Registration Bureau, 81%.
Order, order.
Development expenditure. Performance of development expenditure. Mr. Speaker, sir, the immediate development expenditure amounted to 917.9 billion, of which 434.5 billion is domestically financed and 403.5 billion is foreign financed. This represents underperformance of 10.5%. The underperformance is emanating from foreign finance projects, which registered slow implementation progress on various projects due to their limited capacity to import construction materials. However, under domestically financed projects was 434.5 billion against a mid-year target of 305.3 billion, thereby registering an overrun or over expenditure of 129 billion, representing 42%. This was on account of inflated certificates of works on various projects, especially currency financed projects. Fiscal deficit and financing for the first half. Mr. Speaker, sir, total deficit for the first half of the 2025-2026 financial year amounted to 2.037 trillion, compared to the projection of 1.534 trillion, thereby widening the gap by 503.5 billion, representing 32.8%. This deficit, Mr. Speaker, sir, is as a result of lower than anticipated revenue collection, coupled with higher than planned expenditures during the period under review. Projection for the second half of the financial year. Mr. Speaker, sir, as the half of the financial year, I wish to present the revised financial projections that will guide budget implementation and in the months ahead until March 2026. Mr. Speaker, sir, the total revenue and grants are projected at 3.0378 trillion for the second half, broken down as 2.420 trillion, this is for domestic revenue, and 6.57.5 billion on grants. Domestic revenue comprises of 2.323 trillion tax revenue and 97.3 billion on tax revenue. As you will notice, the amount of 3.078 trillion to be collected in the second half is higher than 2.383 trillion, which was collected in of the financial year. The higher projection in the second half is as a result of expected implementation of revenue measures and improved disbursements. Mr. Speaker, sir, total expenditure is projected at 4.169 trillion for the second half, broken down as 3.161 trillion recurrent expenditure and 1.008 trillion as development expenditure. Recurrent expenditure comprises compensation of employees amounting to 871.6 billion, public debt to interest amounting to 1.260 trillion, use of goods and services amounting to 385.4 billion, grants amounting to 247.2 billion, and social benefits amounting to 388.5 billion, and other expenses at 8.1 billion. Mr. Speaker, sir, the development expenditure consists of 707 billion for foreign finance projects. This is development part 1, and 235.7 billion for domestically financed projects. This is development part 2. In the second half of the financial year, Mr. Speaker, sir, the fiscal deficit is projected at 1.091 trillion, which will be financed by foreign financing amounting to 107.1 billion and domestic financing of 984.3 billion. Revised 2025-2026 budget. Mr. Speaker, sir, against the background of the first half budget performance outlined above, the 2025-2026 budget is revised by 512.6 billion from 8.077 trillion to 8.58. The upward revision is intended to accommodate budgetary pressures, including wages and salaries, amounting to 98.5 billion, public debt interest amounting to 100 billion, generic goods and services amounting to 20.5 billion, procurement of drugs amounting to 17.1 billion, elections amounting to 50 billion, maize purchase, logistics amounting to 20 billion, pensions and gratuities amounting to 196.0 billion, and FISIP, I repeat, FISIP, amounting to 129.6 billion, domestically financed projects, including constituency development fund, and the 36 new constituencies amounting to 91.7 billion. And also introduction of free primary and secondary education for the second term, and also the money examination fees. Revised fiscal deficit to the end of fiscal year. Mr. Speaker, sir, total deficit to the end of financial year is projected to amount to 3.128 trillion, compared to approved budget deficit of 2.498 trillion, and hence widening by 630.2 billion, representing 25.2%. This deficit is as a result of higher than planned expenditures during the second half of the financial year. It must be noted that some of the expenditures that have increased the deficit are the one-off payments, such as clearing the backlog for pensions and gratuities, elections, and going forward, it is government's expectation that ceteris paribus, the deficit will substantially be reduced. Performance of key sectors. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm now duty-bound to inform this August House of the performance of key sectors in the first half of the fiscal year and how we intend to improve MDA's performance in the second half. Agriculture sector. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me inform you that the government is committed to invest in the agriculture sector as the backbone of the country's economy. As you might have already observed in the media, the new administration has increased the number of beneficiaries under Farm Input Subsidy Program, FISIP, from the initial amount that was planned by MCP that for 528,000, we have increased it to 1,100,000 beneficiaries. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. Government will continue promoting investment in irrigation development and infrastructure to reduce dependence on rain-fed agriculture. In this regard, irrigation capacity will expand through flagship programs such as the Shire Valley Transformation Program, the Agriculture Infrastructure and Youth Agribusiness Project, the Malawi Watershed Services Improvement Project, and the Agriculture Commercialization Project aimed at strengthening climate resilience and reducing agriculture vulnerability. Education sector. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government has introduced a free primary and session where general purpose fund and school development fees have been abolished, effective 1st January 2026. This is done to improve literacy levels, increase enrollment, and also increase retention. In addition, manable examination fees have been abolished for both primary and secondary schools. The above incentives will The above incentives will require 32.5 billion for the last quarter of 2025-2026 fiscal year. This demonstrates that DPP, Democratic Progressive Party's commitment to deliver on its manifesto and promises. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to confirm to this august House that unlike his predecessor, His Excellency, the President, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, delivers what he promises, and he promises what he can deliver. Mr. Speaker, sir, to ensure that the Mberwa University project is completed, His Excellency, the President, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, has designated the second Vice President, Right Honorable Enoch Chihana, to oversee this particular project. On health sector, Mr. Speaker, sir, in order to address pharmaceutical challenges in health facilities, the budget, additional 17.1 billion, consisting of 8.6 billion for central hospitals and 8.5 billion for these hospitals, has been provided. In addition, government will explore other avenues of financing the health sector. Mining. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government recognizes the mining sector as a key pillar for Malawi's economic growth and diversification. During the period under review, the sector made notable progress. A total of 122 licenses were issued across various categories, which will be reviewed or, where possible, to be in line with the new administration's policies, alongside the finalization of 11 subsidiary regulations and also upgrading the mining cadastral system into an online portal. Speaker, sir, the Kairekera uranium mine was also successfully commissioned under a new mine development agreement between government and the Lotus Resources Limited. The renegotiation and the operationalization of this mine under the new agreement demonstrates renewed investor confidence in Malawi's mining sector. Digitalization. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to emphasize the crucial role of digital transformation in our country's development. In light of this, government has designated the Minister of Information and Communication Technology as the central coordinator of all ICT initiatives, in line with MIP1, with a focus on cost effectiveness. To accelerate this transformation, 3 primary programs will be implemented: the Digital Malawi Acceleration Project, the Inclusive Digital Transformation for Malawi, and the Last Mile Activity Project. These initiatives have a common goal of expanding access, bridging connectivity gaps, and also empowering all Malawians to actively participate in the digital economy. Disaster management affairs. Mr. Speaker, sir, government recognizes the importance of disaster risk reduction, response, recovery, and resilience. In this regard, His Excellency, the President, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, has designated the Right Honorable Vice President, Justice Dr. Jenny Ansah, SC, retired, to be responsible for disaster management affairs and effective delivery. Food security. Mr. Speaker, sir, following the declaration of national disaster in all districts by His Excellency, the President, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, I would like to sincerely acknowledge the support provided by our development partners towards the purchase and provision of food assistance, including maize, for the affected households. I would like to assure Malawians, particularly the vulnerable, that the government of Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika will make sure that they have food and that no one dies of hunger. In addition, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to recognize the commendable support from our local commercial banks and financial institutions that contributed towards men's purchases. These include First Discount, First FDH Bank, First Capital Bank, National Bank of Malawi, Nico Holdings, NBS Bank, and Standard Bank. Public debt management. Mr. Speaker, sir, moving forward, let me management of public debt is a priority for this new administration. This comes on the back of high and sustainable debt levels and high borrowing costs that have led to high debt service. Mr. Speaker, sir, Malawi's public debt is in excess of 21.6 trillion. I repeat, Malawi's public debt is in excess of 21.6 trillion, equivalent to 86% of GDP, against 4.1 trillion in 2019. Meaning that in Malawi Kwacha terms, the MCP government multiplied public debt by 5 times in a period of 5 years. Devaluation has always been there.
Order. Order, members, order. Order. Order.
These high debt levels requires a combination of measures or a cocktail of measures and strategies to turn the debt trajectory. It is for this reason that the new administration, under Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, is undertaking fiscal reforms to restore debt sustainability. Not only will the government continue with the debt restructuring negotiations, but it will also pursue fiscal consolidation, concessional borrowing, and improved oversight on state-owned enterprises. Mr. Speaker, sir, on external debt restructuring, official agreements with all bilateral creditors were reached. 2 agreements were signed this year with the Kuwait Fund and Saudi Fund for Development. The government continues to engage the commercial creditors on the restructuring terms. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is a known fact that the debt situation that the MCP administration left is very high and unsustainable, thereby taking up a significant portion of budget resources, hence restricting the government's ability to invest in other productive areas. This administration situation is man-made by the Malawi Congress Party due to mismanagement, lack of fiscal discipline, and arrogance. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm saying arrogance because advice was given. The civil society had advised, the bishops had advised, but this government never listened. Therefore, improved debt management coupled with fiscal discipline and reforms is pertinent, and the government is committed to addressing the root causes of this debt situation. Fiscal discipline. As part of our commitment to public debt management, and fiscal discipline, government is implementing reforms, including strict expenditure controls, measures such as minimizing travel, limiting procurement of high-valued assets, and also managing the wage bill. In addition to minimize the gap between the revenue and the expenditure requirements, government will also fully adopt the cash budgeting approach that strictly aligns funding with available resources rather than projected cash flows. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we stand today, the government's wage bill has grown significantly, resulting in taking up almost 40% of the country's domestic revenue. In this regard, as already announced by the Office of the President and Cabinet, government has on new recruitments, except for key sectors, which will be done on case-by-case basis. The moratorium will be longer for MDAs, which had massive recruitments. You may wish to know, Mr. Speaker, sir, that it was surprising that most of the people that have been in the civil service, they were employed by OPC. It always pleased the chief secretary, not the president. It always pleased the chief secretary to recruit officers and chief executives in parastatals. Government will also conduct payroll audits. Government will also conduct payroll audit and head count. Repeat this. Can I repeat? Government is also going to conduct payroll audit and head count for all public servants starting from 9th of December 2025. Therefore, all public required to present themselves physically for the head count and submit all their relevant documentation and qualification. The following are the detailed expenditure control measures as announced by government. External travel by senior public officers. To control the drain of foreign exchange, reserves and reduce expenditure, travel by cabinet ministers, deputy ministers, controlling officers, chief executive officers, and senior management of statutory corporations, heads of public institutions, and all public are limited to 3 trips per annum after seeking approval from the relevant authority. All controlling officers of MDAs. I need protection, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honour members, can we let our Minister of Finance do his job? Minister of Sports, make sure Minister of Finance has water there, please.
All controlling officers of MDAs, heads of CSEOEs, which are statutory corporations, chairpersons, board members, and executive management will, if you need an economy class. Procurement of motor, I need to repeat that one, I think it's very important so that everyone knows what we're talking about. All controlling officers of MDAs, heads of statutory corporations, chairpersons, board members, and executive management will, with immediate effect, on the economy class. Procurement of motor vehicles. Procurement of motor vehicles. Government has put a moratorium on the procurement of new vehicles and high-value assets until further notice. On special cases, controlling officers are advised to seek approval from the Office of the President and Cabinet. Exceptions will apply under agreed work plans and programs. Recruitment. Recruitments have been suspended, including an established posts until further notice. On a case-by-case basis, recruitment in essential and critical government services will be considered. Promotions. Promotion for officers from grades F and below will require prior authority from Treasury and Department of Human Resources Management and Development, RMD, to verify availability of funds. Promotions made without this approval will be rendered invalid. The payroll. All controlling officers are being reminded to personally verify and approve all payroll submissions made to DHRMD. This is the Department of Human Resources. Meetings. Ministries, departments, and agencies, or MDAs, are encouraged to hold physical meetings, office premises, and conduct virtual meetings, conferences, workshops, body meetings, interviews, shortlisting exercise, procurement, negotiations, and any other activities to save resources on travel. Size of delegations. The Chief Secretary to Government shall determine and approve the number and the composition of delegations traveling outside the country for any other government prioritized trips. In cases where the travel is donor funded, there will be no government expenditure in form of any top-up allowances towards such travel. Procurement. According to the Public Finance Management Act 2022, it is illegal to commit government where there is no resources. And accordingly, all MDAs will be required services based on quarterly allotments provided by Treasury. Suppliers will be required to supply their goods or services only when they have received an IFMIS-generated local purchase order. All goods and services supplied without a system-generated LPO will not be paid by government. Payments will be made only upon delivery of goods and services, meaning there will be no advance payments for goods and services. Extrabudgetary requests. Extrabudgetary requests are not allowed and shall not be entertained by Treasury, except in special cases. MDA's expenditures will be restricted to the approved budget provision. Fuel entitlement. Fuel entitlement for public officers, including ministers, deputy ministers, and senior government officials, shall be reduced by 30% with immediate effect. Mineral contracts. Mineral contracts. Government will review all mining licenses and contracts. Any mining licenses which have been idle for more than 5 years shall be revoked. And staff in embassies. Staffing in embassies. Government will reduce number of embassies and staff. Each embassy shall not have more than 5 officials, including the ambassador and high commission. Public sector on public finance management. Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry through Department of Accountant General will continue to build on the gains registered in the implementation of SAP-based IFMIS One of the major activities for the current fiscal year is the activation of the Human Capital Development and the Payroll module. This module will replace the current software in the Human Resource Management, HRMIS, aiming to decisively address issues such as ghost workers and inflated wage bill. Mr. Speaker, sir, in order to strengthen financial and non-financial performance, the government is implementing a comprehensive SOE reform agenda that will see improvement in the liquidity management, debt monitoring, and the revenue collection efficiency. Additionally, all statutory corporations will be required to implement performance-based contracts for boards and management governance. Furthermore, all non-performing chief executives, I repeat, for all non-performing chief executives with perpetual losses will have their contracts and benefits reviewed and where possible action taken. Mr. Speaker, sir, all statutory corporations fulfill their mandate and statutory obligations to contribute to the national revenue envelope through consistent and timely dividend remittance. Government will continue to strengthen oversight roles, enforce compliance, and promote reforms that will enhance the financial health and governance of statutory corporations. Through these efforts, we shall transform statutory corporations into financially viable, accountable, and value-creating enterprises that contribute meaningfully to the economic growth and fiscal resilience of Malawi. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have noted that most of our statutory corporations that are providing utility services, such as water, electricity, and fuel, are making huge losses, thereby exerting pressure on the national budget. Therefore, in order to address this challenge and to mitigate the associated risks, government will ensure that cost-reflective pricing is adhered to and that the statutory corporation services in the most efficient manner. Fiscal decentralization. Mr. Speaker, sir, His Excellency the President, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, is committed to ensure significant growth and development at constituency level across the country. In this regard, the Democratic Progressive Party promise of 5 billion allocation to each constituency will be implemented from 1st April 2026. You agree with me that this will be a game changer for our nation, as substantial amounts of resources will move from central government to local authorities. Government will develop the Constituency Development Fund guidelines, which will stipulate the implementation modalities and reporting frameworks. Reforms to build foreign exchange. Mr. Speaker, sir, this country has a lot of minerals. One of the high potential mineral is gold. I would like to applaud the stance taken by His Excellency the President, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, in banning exportation of raw minerals. This directive will allow the country to beneficiate its minerals. Meanwhile, government has directed the Reserve Bank of Malawi to scale up gold purchase program and also monetize the purchased gold in order to improve the country's foreign exchange reserves. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to refer to the State of the Nation address in the August House by His Excellency Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika. Government will create a sovereign wealth fund to ensure that proceeds from the mineral exports benefit Malawians. In addition, government will also comprehensively review all minerals license, as I've said earlier on. Mr. Speaker, sir, in order to reduce smuggling of agricultural produce, government will establish commodity market exchange, COMEX, to facilitate the trading of all our agricultural commodities through transparent and formal structured markets. Mr. Speaker, sir, with immediate effect, government that all accommodation expenses by foreign tourists should be paid in foreign currency. With immediate effect, Mr. Speaker, sir, I repeat that government has directed that all accommodation expenses paid by foreign tourists should be paid in foreign currency. In order to facilitate this, all tourist operators should be a foreign exchange dealing license from the Reserve Bank of Malawi. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government is putting up necessary measures to incentivize domestic production and encourage import substitution. This is aimed at reducing the country's import bill, and Malawi, as of now, is importing almost everything, and there's an urgent need to substitute some of these imports. Foreign exchange repatriation, Mr. Speaker, sir, exporters are currently allowed of 120 days, within which they must provide proof of receipt of their export process. This period, Mr. Speaker, sir, is too long for a country with short supply of foreign exchange. In order to improve supply of foreign exchange, government has therefore reduced this period to 90 days, effective immediately. Mr. Speaker, sir, on diaspora remittances, government will immediately banks to reduce the paperwork in opening the diaspora accounts, and also demarcate land for diaspora cities, and facilitate online transactions to reduce their cost of banking. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government shall also immediately designate a diaspora desk at the Malawi Investment and Trade Center, MITC, to coordinate and resolve all other outstanding issues that affect diaspora effective participation in domestic economic activity. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the contentious issues is export process.
Can I have order, members? Members.
Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the contentious issues is the export process repatriation and the surrender requirements. Government has directed that if the exporter has import bills to meet, those bills will first be deducted from the export process, and the surrender 25% will be applicable only to the balance. I'm saying this is very, very important to people out there. On foreign exchange licenses, on foreign exchange dealing licenses, Mr. Speaker, sir, government has also directed that all licenses shall be renewed subject to successful completion of fit and proper tests of the chief executives, officers, foreign exchange dealers, and staff. Mr. Speaker, sir, government is also banning all short-term foreign exchange derivative market until sound regulatory framework has been put in place. There is a detectable practice. There is a detectable practice in the banking system which has pushed foreign exchange transactions to the derivative market, particularly on forwards and options. So with immediate effect, Mr. Speaker, sir, I repeat, all forwards and options have been banned. Mr. Speaker, sir, government has also put in place measures to ensure that foreign exchange that is due to the country through foreign exchange and shipping companies is duly enhanced and accounted for. Mr. Speaker, sir, as earlier indicated, the inflation remains very high at 28.5% in 2025. Fiscal and supply side intervention will be implemented to ease inflation. In this regard, monetary policy rate will be maintained at appropriate levels that balance price increases and the country's growth aspiration. In terms of dealing with high currency in circulation, this local currency in circulation, government will going to limit cash withdrawals, both on the counter and the point of sale. These are ATMs and all the point of sales, and in order to promote electronic transfers. Revenue enhancement measures. Revenue enhancement measures. Mr. Speaker, sir, I now turn to the tax revenue measures. Can I be heard in silence? I now turn to the tax and non-tax revenue measures that government intends to implement for the remainder of the year and beyond. These measures have been instituted to stabilize public finances and in order to rebuild this fiscal space. Mr. Speaker, sir, before I present these measures, allow me to reiterate what I've said before. Assumed office, we found an economy in an exceptionally fragile state. The Malawi Congress Party government left behind an economy characterized by unsustainable debt, chronic fiscal deficit, depleted foreign exchange reserves, and a loss of investor confidence. Furthermore, finances were in disarray, revenues were stagnant, and key sectors were neglected. The kwacha had sharply depreciated against major trading currencies, and inflation had eroded household incomes. The fiscal space has effectively been closed, leaving government unable to meet even the most basic obligations without resorting to borrowing. It is within this challenging context, Mr. Speaker, sir, has been compelled to take decisive action, not out of choice, but out of need, in order to restore stability, rebuild credibility, and place Malawi on a sustainable path of growth. Consequently, I would like to implore my fellow members of parliament, my fellow economists and experts, religious organizations, NGOs, civil society, the private sector, and all citizenry to support the measures I'm about to announce to secure a more resilient and prosperous Malawi. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, sir, to outline the proposed tax and non-tax measures. Income tax. Income tax. This is on bank transfer levy. Mr. Speaker, sir, government is introducing a modest 0.05% bank transfer levy to be applied on all bank transfers within or across banks and will be paid by the sender. Government is introducing a modest 0.05% bank transfer levy to be applied on all bank transfers, both within and across banks, and will be paid by the sender. Introduction of mobile. Mr. Speaker, sir, government will listen first. Government will introduce a 0.05% levy to be applied on transactions amounting on mobile money transfers of above 100,000 to be paid by the sender. This limit has been applied to ensure that the low-income earners are protected. The August House may wish to know that this levy exists in many countries in Africa, including our neighbor Zambia, in Uganda, Zimbabwe, just to mention but a few. Money transfer transaction. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, sir, to above, to promote electronic transfers, government has with immediate effect revised limits on cash outs, mobile money transactions, and mobile money holdings as follows. Mobile money transaction limits and cash outs limits have been increased from 750 a day to 5 million per day. And from 750 per day respectively. And the holding limit for the wallet, this is for the wallet, for individuals have been raised from 1 million to 5 million. And for merchant accounts, both the wallet holding limit and the daily mobile money transaction limit have been increased from 25 to 50 million. The idea is to move the money through electronic transfers, not by cashing out the money. Mr. Speaker, sir, government is also adjusting the pay-as-you-earn Government is adjusting the payee structure as follows. The zero rate threshold increases from the 150 to 170,000, thereby shielding the low income earners. The zero rate threshold increases from a monthly income of 150 to 170,000, thereby shielding the low income earners. And also the 25% bracket has been removed. The 30% apply on monthly incomes between 170,000 to 1.57 million kwacha. The 35% will now apply to monthly incomes from 1.57 to 10 million. And the new 40% rate will apply to monthly incomes above 10 million per month. Speaker, sir, continuing with the philosophy of ensuring that those, Mr. Speaker, sir, continuing with the philosophy of ensuring that those who earn more must contribute more, the threshold for supernormal profits for companies will be reduced from 10 billion to 5 billion. This means company profits below 5 billion will continue to be taxed at 30%, while profits of 5 billion, while profits of over 5 billion will be taxed at 40%. Mr. Speaker, sir, in order to broaden the tax base, in order to widen the tax base, and also to raise additional revenue, the following measures will be implemented. The 100,000 and 500,000 thresholds for applying withholding tax on lottery winnings are removed, meaning that all winnings will now be taxed. The 100,000 and 500,000 thresholds for applying withholding tax on betting and lottery winnings are removed, meaning that all winnings will now be taxed. The withholding tax rate for gambling will now increase from 10% to 15%. Excise tax applicable on gross lottery revenues will be fully enforced, especially for radio stations and television stations. Mr. Speaker, sir, government has also observed that some countries or some companies perpetually declare losses and they continue to operate. To ensure fairness, a minimum alternate tax, MAT, of 0.5% on turnover is being introduced. Companies will pay either normal corporate tax levied at 30% on profit or 0.5% of turnover, whichever is higher. To protect startups and small enterprises, the minimum alternative tax will apply only to companies with turnover of more than 5 billion that have been operating for more than 3 years. Furthermore, whatever amount is paid above the minimum alternative tax will be treated as a credit or an advance to offset the future tax obligations. Mr. Speaker, sir, previously capital gains tax on shares than 1 year was not being applied. However, trading in shares has now become a significant income-generating activity for most companies and individuals. To ensure fairness, capital gains tax will now apply on all share disposals, regardless of how long they have been held. Mr. Speaker, sir, I observed that many residential property owners, particularly in cities of Nzuzu, Lilongwe, Zomba, and Blantyre, they do collect rental income without paying taxes. Mr. Speaker, sir, as you are aware, there is withholding tax on rental income. However, due to implementation challenges, residential property owners have not been remitting the tax to Malawi Revenue Authority, while most commercial properties owners have been compliant. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, sir, government has directed the Malawi Revenue Authority to immediately enforce collection of rental income tax on residential properties, including a comprehensive registration of excise, let me take that one, including comprehensive registration excise of landlords, because we need to know who is the landlord. To ensure that this directive is also followed without delay, I would like to
Order, members. Order.
I would like to request ESCOM, all water boards, Malawi Housing Corporation, the city councils, the Ministry of Lands to cooperate in providing the necessary information pertaining to the owners of residential properties in the low-density areas. Mr. Speaker, sir, government is reinstating, can I repeat this? Government is reinstating the surcharge on the importation of cement at the rate of 20%. VAT measures, VAT. Mr. Speaker, sir, to strengthen revenue mobilization and ensure that the fiscal deficit is reduced in the medium term, government has also reviewed the VAT rate. In doing so, government took into account or consideration the VAT rates in other countries such as Madagascar, Morocco, and many others, which is at 20%, and Tanzania, which is at 18%. Accordingly, government adjusted Malawi VAT rate from 16.5% to 17.5%, thereby reverting to the rate that prevailed when VAT was being introduced in the country. Administrative measures. Government has noted with great concern the increased tendency Government has noted with great concern the increasing tendency by many shop owners and businesses to avoid issuing VAT receipts when customers purchase goods and services. I wish to inform this August House and the general public that government will apply heavy penalty against any shop owner or business found not issuing VAT receipts on their sales and services. Mr. Speaker, sir, government has also noted the growing number of requests from government ministries, departments and agencies, parastatals, non-governmental organizations seeking tax waivers on their procurement. I wish to emphasize that government operates on tax-inclusive budget. In this vein, unless a tax waiver request relates to a donation or donor-funded project or procurement, such requests from MDAs will not be allowed. Non-tax revenue. Mr. Speaker, as tax reforms announced, government will implement the following non-tax measures. Motor Vehicle Accident Fund. Motor Vehicle Accident Fund. I want to say this because it has been said in this August House that there are so many accidents, particularly those in the motorcycles. And because of that, the Ministry of Health is under pressure. A levy rate of 2% on motor vehicle insurance. Those that are insured, a levy will be collected at the rate of 2% on motor vehicle insurance that will be refinanced to provide additional financing to the Ministry of Health. This money goes straight to the Ministry of Health in order to address that particular challenge. Free access to Malawi. This August House may recall that the Ministry of Tourism had revoked all visas. People coming to Malawi, almost 79 countries, they were coming here visa-free. So from now on, and with immediate effect, visa applications will apply on a reciprocity basis. What they charge us is what we charge them. You get it? I still, can I repeat, because this is very important? I have said, Order. Visa-free access to Malawi is being revoked with immediate effect, and the visa application fee will apply on a reciprocity basis. What they charge us is what we charge them. Revenue remittance. Government will strictly enforce remittance of revenue collection by ministries, departments, and agencies, and all proceeds from asset disposal, is boarding of motor vehicles, should be deposited with the Ministry of Finance Treasury. Dividends and surplus remittance. Government will, with immediate effect, strictly enforce the remittance of dividend and surplus from statutory corporations. Conclusion. Mr. Speaker, sir, I humbly invite the August House to take note of the immediate performance of the 2025-2026 budget and to consider and deliberate on the revised budget estimates for the 2025-26 financial year as detailed in Annex 1, 2, and 3 of the 2025 mid-year budget review. I still want to this August House and all Malawians that we are sailing in turbulent waters. And it requires determined decision by Malawians. It's a choice by Malawians. If you really want your country to go back on a positive trajectory, and that government should be able to provide the much needed services in the midst of health hospitals, in schools. It requires for us and every Malawian to contribute. Furthermore, the House is also requested to approve the proposed amendments to selected votes as presented. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move.